My name is Jimmy. There have been an increase in the number of protests, strikes, and rallies that has happened all around the world. So I created this app where people can stay up to date with what events are happening nearby.
In the Home tab, it shows different events that are going on, and this is shown by the distance away from the user. You pick the bottom is a feed system. For example, 3 minutes ago, 2 different people signed up for or registered for the March Down Berkeley event.
My name is Erica Yu. I created a web extension called Greenlink. With this web extension, users will be able to know whether or not a brand is eco-friendly and the eco-friendliness of an item.
Selected once, I'm redirected to their site, and I can see that there is a logo here, which I will click on. And first of all, I have an option to save this item to something called the watch list, which is a list of items the user has chosen to study their eco-friendliness over a time period.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm the founder of MStream. MStream is an app that allows you to watch movies and events with your friends. We were going to be importing their movie categories and movie listings. And now for the interesting bit, which is ordering food. So when the restaurants are listed, you can kind of visit each restaurant and scroll through the menu. So as an example, here's McDonald's, and you can add to order or pay now.
Welcome to our Future Entrepreneur Challenge Monday series. Today we are going to talk about UX design, a shortcut to make your college application stand out. And it's an honor to invite our speaker, Donji, to join us today. Before we officially start our session, let me quickly introduce our company. Harmony Plus is an official partner of leading universities and institutions in the United States, such as UC Berkeley, SRI International, and San Jose State University. We are committed to providing top-notch programs to outstanding local and international students. We are providing an entrepreneurship program called Future Entrepreneur Challenge. This program is designed for middle and high school students who want to know how to make a difference in the world. Similar to Silicon Valley startup incubator teaching business frameworks and startup formation, students will work in team and they will learn what it takes to start a new business and receive instruction and mentorship from Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. Throughout the program, students have the opportunities to interact and learn from experienced entrepreneurs and investors, improve their teamwork skills, and improve their presentation skills, communication skills, as well as boost their confidence. If you would like to learn more information about Future Entrepreneur Challenge, I'll send a link to the chat right after this. And today, we invite Donji to join us. He is the head of design at MetaBob, and he also has various experience working with startups and also big corporates. And he has a wide variety of work in UX design. So Donji, can you say hi to our audience today?
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Yeah, so I'll pass the microphone to you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jenny. So my name is Donji, and I'm a UX designer. So this is my portfolio, and just to show you guys some of the things that I've made. MetaBob, it's an AI code reviewer. It's something that can actually check your code base and detect errors automatically without having any human intervention, because it uses AI. And I've done every part of the interface, every aspect, and I work with engineers and business all day, and also make things like pitch videos and everything like that. So not just graphic design, not just UX design, also video design and all of that. This was a product that I've made in the past. It's a raveware with motion reactive light patterns that uses an accelerometer. So UX design is not just limited to interfaces, it's physical products as well, and especially that include electronics. So, you know, I had to basically create everything you see here from scratch. Here's a little video of the different modes that we had to create for this project. The UX design is also fun too. It's like I get to make all these sorts of cool modes and stuff like that for this product. It's a little sneak peek. And yeah, I've also worked at Artisense, which is a self-driving car sensor company. I was the first employee and helped them raise their first $4 million by creating their first prototype. Not the technology. I am not an like super genius programmer with 10 PhDs. I just did the design of the camera. But yeah, that was great. I've worked for an audiovisual company that's worked with Silicon Valley's top tech companies like Google and Airbnb, doing their events and everything like that. And I've won several design competitions and hackathons. And yeah, I've designed several apps. And I worked at Facebook, but everything I did there is top secret. Unfortunately, I cannot talk about that. So what is design? Are you guys familiar with design? Does anyone have like a really good idea of what design is? Well, many of you guys are probably thinking, well, what's the most common thing that we know? Designer brands, right? Designer brands are a very common part of design. And that usually kind of confuses a lot of people, but you know, design is essentially the difference between this and this. I don't know how many of you know this, probably all of you, but Louis Vuitton bags are actually plastic. These things are all functionally the same. They do all the same stuff, except, well, one costs 1,500 and the other costs 15 cents. So the biggest difference is design. It's the brand, it's the logo, it's the trim, it's all of that. It's the experience of the product versus this. And that's what adds the value. And there's more complicated like definitions of design, like it's a plan or specification for the construction of an object or blah, blah, blah. This is just straight from Wikipedia. This is probably like one of the more accurate explanations of what UX design is. It's based off of user needs and then, you know, the requirements of the app, the information architecture, blah, 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 visual design. But to keep it simple, design is the art of communicating to others what should be created. So being a designer is about being a storyteller, and we have different mediums that we use to tell our stories. These can range from, you know, how do we tell our stories? Well, we use a series of different tools: stories, just spoken word, drawing, videos, websites, pitch decks, wireframes, prototypes, flow diagrams, design thinking sessions. These are our tools that we use to tell the story of what should be created. And you guys are probably wondering like, oh, well, what's the title of this thing? It's how to make a shortcut to get your college application to stand up. So what is a college application? A college application is something everyone will need to do in order to get into the college of your dreams. And a college application is a story about who you are. So being a professional storyteller is going to be extremely important for communicating exactly who you are to these colleges, what you stand for, what makes you very impressive, etc. So, but you know, it's COVID now, and as you know, things have changed drastically. There's everything has been moved remote for many industries that can, and everyone who is remote, you know, at least everyone I know, they're like, I never want to go back to being in the office again. So we're probably going to see a huge shift in the future of, you know, things that we thought might move back, but you know, we got to be prepared for a world where a lot of these interactions are now online. And the ability to tell stories online is very important. As we know, like being able to, one of the things that we're missing out on is the face-to-face interaction. There's not going to be, you know, times have changed ever since COVID-19. So that means the way people apply to colleges have also changed. We're not going to have the face-to-face meetings that we've always had. A lot of it's going to be online interviews. People are going to, what your online presence is going to be is much more important now than ever. And being able to use and command the different mediums like video or design programs to create graphics, all of those things are going to become much more essential for telling the story of who you are online. Because one of the beautiful parts about being a designer is I can tell stories without actually physically having to be there. I can create a piece of video content and I can sway someone my way just by sending them a link to a video that I've produced. And I can have them be like, wow, that's amazing what he created. This is something that in the past people would have to meet up in person to try and convince someone of something or whatnot. So when it comes to your applications, it's going to be increasingly important to command your online presence, especially with your applications. So your ability to tell a story online has become of utmost importance. And that is essentially why design is becoming so increasingly important, because it is the art of telling a story of who you are in all of the different mediums that you can. And so UX design is actually UX design is a subsect of design, and it has to do mostly with apps, and it has to do mostly with technology. But overall, it's not limited to that. It's essentially how people experience everything of a brand. Sometimes the classic example is, why do people like iPhones? Well, they just feel very nice to use. Do they do the same thing as the Android phones? Yeah, I personally like the iPhones better because they pay attention to the tiny little experiences, and that's what's important. But you guys are probably wondering, why, if I'm interested in science, or why, if I'm interested in engineering, should I learn design? Well, actually, UX relates a lot to STEM, especially for engineering. So engineers must showcase their work. Design is crucial for doing a good job of this. In the real world, designers actually get to make all the important decisions for a product, which a lot of people don't know. As a designer, it's my job to create the actual specs of functionality, and then the engineers get to make it. A lot of mistake that a lot of people get into is they think that if they learn engineering, they can decide what's being made. And that's actually not the case. And a lot of people get very frustrated as engineers because they don't get to decide what to build. It's always given to them as a plan from the designer. But the engineers who learn how to design are typically given more control over the product because they have that ability to design the product as well. So that's important. And let's also see where the overlap is. This is from Stanford. So this is human computer interaction related degrees at Stanford. That's what HCI stands for. And there's a lot of overlap between computer science and what's it called? And UX design. And that's because humans use computers. And so there is some sectors of engineering where you're creating things that aren't really used by humans, like really back-end, if you're building like an operating system or something like that. But in general, if you're making any sort of consumer product or business product, humans are using your product. And that means that there's going to need to be design involved. And for example, there's the very famous D School, which is a design school that all students in Stanford can go to. There's masters in learning design and technology together. There's humanities and sciences. So there's a lot of human-computer interaction that kind of has to do with psychology, communication, linguistics. There's product design, which includes a lot of design research. And yeah. And for STEM, psychology and sociology. For those of you guys don't know, sociology is the study of how people interact between people, in groups. Psychology is how people think is a science of how people think themselves. So a lot of times when people go into psychology and sociology, they think they're actually limited to just become like a therapist or prescribing medications. But actually, there's a lot of psychologists and sociologists who become designers. Design is another way to make money using psychology, because in order to create a product, it's crucial to understand how the user thinks. So many designers actually have deep backgrounds in psychology. I was actually a sociology major before I switched to design, because I was just interested in how people think. And then I realized, like, oh my gosh, I can actually like join startups and actually be creative at the same time and use my knowledge of psychology. It was a great combination for me. And design research is actually one of the most important parts of design that a lot of people don't see. It's kind of the behind the scenes stuff, but that's not talked about as much, but it's there a lot. And it has a lot of overlap with the same methodologies psychologists use. So the same research techniques we use for design, we also use for psychology. And for business, design is increasingly important because, well, with design, you can create real looking prototypes in order to demonstrate the idea clearly in order to raise money. So you can create realistic prototypes and raise money just based off of convincing people that it's real. And this is used a lot as designers. So a lot of times, people will add a really great designer to their tech team because they want to make a very nice pitch deck. And so design is crucial for creating pitch decks. So a lot of money has been raised just through designers making very, very, very nice pitch decks. And for marketing, many marketing students study design in order to be able to create their own marketing campaign assets like social media posts. People, if you ever want to do a Kickstarter page, you're going to need to design the video and all of the page. You're going to need to design logos, design company landing pages. That's pretty basic design stuff. And for business, the product. As we all know, businesses, there's services and there's products. For any sort of product company, creating a great product, whether it be physical or an app, it's one of the most important aspects of any business, the product of itself. If you have a great product, you don't actually need to invest that much in marketing because you'll get word of mouth. So this requires a deep understanding of the user. One of the main parts of design is identifying a great problem to solve, and that's a big pain point for users. So designers have a process for identifying problems, and it's part of design research. And also when it comes to product, think about designer brands. Like let's think back to that, to the Louis Vuitton versus the plastic bag. Like, would you rather have a generic designer brand, or would you rather have a designer brand or a generic brand? So you can see how much of a difference is when it comes to design. People will choose the designer brand and pay twice or 3 times or 4 times, or in the case of the handbag, they will pay literally 100 times as much just to have the designer brand. And also for portfolios. So I know a lot of you guys are probably going into engineering, which I think is a fantastic idea. I was very close to actually becoming an engineering major just because I think programming is so important. And one of the things that everyone's going to have to do for engineering is show off their work. And so here's one of my examples from my friends. Typically, the way people show off their portfolios for like a college application or for anything else is you share your GitHub. And this is a very common practice. The only problem is when you share your portfolio, the recruiter is not or the the college admissions people, they're not computer scientists. They do not know why any of this is important. You know, I don't really know what this is. I just know that he won something. I don't know what library printf is. You might have put a lot of work into it, but no one knows what it is. He actually has a very nice landing page, so that's good. But let's take a look at this other GitHub. This is also another engineer. He has, I don't know what this is, but just to let you know, I vetted these people beforehand and they're very talented. So they're very talented engineers, but we have no clue what they did. Now, let's look at his portfolio site. So all the same stuff that we saw on his GitHub, but it's presented like this, you know. There's a trailer, there's details, there's all of this, you know. This is, he presents his work very well. And this is going to make a huge difference. Let's say he was he was applying to colleges and he had something like this, but another person had this, you know. Who's the college's admissions going to be more impressed by? They're going to be impressed by the person who can tell the story of who they are visually through a portfolio website. And so showcasing your work as an engineer and explaining your process for what you did is extremely important for actually being able to leverage all of your talented projects that you've created, so you can get into a college. So that's one of the most important parts is, you know, you did all the hard work. Now you have to show off your work in a way that's actually understood. And here's a look at just some other ones. I'm just going to quickly go through them. There's a whole bunch of really cool, you know, portfolios. Some mix in like, you know, some sort of like resume thing with a portfolio. One of my personal favorite ones is this one. It's like this interactive, this person made their portfolio resume site like a video game, and it, you know, you can move back and forth and jump over these things. It's very creative. I just showed you, that's not really that relevant, but I showed you because it's cool. So yeah, one of the most important aspects of selling yourself is creating a great story of who you are. It's critical to tell the story about, you know, why and what you're creating is important, not to mention what exactly are you creating. So when I designed this course, I made storytelling a key component. As you've seen from the videos in the beginning of the session, I make everyone make a video explaining what their designs are. And these are videos that you can share to have in your college application. And so let's say you're a programmer or you're a scientist and you have a project that you've created. You know, you did all the programming for it. Now touch it up a little bit, make some images, and tell a visual story, you know, through a video, and then have that be on a portfolio site, for example. And then when you submit your college application, you are telling a story. You're not just saying, I did this project, you know. And then if you tie that in with your college essay, you have a very cohesive package of who you are. You're telling a story of, I made this project I'm very passionate about. I designed it, I coded it, you know, I worked with others to kind of bring it to reality. And it was very challenging and I had a lot of things along the way, you know. So storytelling is one of the hardest parts of college applications, but if you do it correctly, it can be extremely powerful. So here's let's take a deeper look into one of the students' projects. This is Jimmy, and his was a protest app to be able to find where all the protests are.
Hello, my name is Jimmy, and in this video, I'll be explaining my social justice app. So with the recent issues that have happened surrounding social justice issues, there have been an increase in the number of protests, strikes, and rallies that has happened all around the world. And although protests and rallies have been happening for a very long time, there has been a dramatic increase, specifically in Black Lives Movement today, with the lack of awareness of who else is going. People do not know if their friends are attending or maybe the websites they search up aren't aesthetically pleasing enough. Shows the events that are nearby, as well as people who are attending that you follow, such as your close friends or mutual friends. And so here you will be able to see who is attending, and as well as a feed system that shows when they have registered or what event they're attending. File that would see what events they have attended and the upcoming events that they signed up for. And if they would like to find more events, they would just simply click on the bottom button where it says find more events, and it'll take them right back to the home screen. There is also a resource tab for people to sign petitions, donate money, or look for organizations they would like to support. People can also find their friends on this app and follow them. And of course, there is a settings page. Now, say the user is an organizer, they would with the lock. So here they would select a photo, and here they would be able to put in the event name, description, date, location, route, as well as a link. They can choose to share it to their friends or share it to the public, and it would show up in the homepage. And that is my app. Thank you for watching. Hello, my name is...
So as we can see, like, it looked very real. And half the time, when I've shown people my prototypes, people are like, oh, I can download it in the App Store. And I'm like, no, that was just a prototype. But when you show people these apps, sometimes it's kind of like the same as if you built it, because they all think you coded it anyways, because they can't tell the difference. So that's actually, and I mean, you should always correct people, to be honest, but if you're not there to correct them, they're going to think it's real. And that might be a huge plus. What's even better is if you can design the app and code it, and then tell the story of how you did both. And when it comes to doing something that you really care about, I think it's a good, that would be a great combo. So why learn UX design now rather than, after middle school or after high school? So, and also why is it important to have a portfolio as soon as possible? I think it's very important to create a portfolio now, and because it's a great habit to start now. When you create a portfolio site or you create your first portfolio project, you undergo a process of documenting your work in a very professional way. You're making a video and you're telling the story of your product. You've edited the video to make it short so it's actually bearable to listen to for people. When you've put in all that hard work and you've created a portfolio item, you have something that's always there and you can always send a link to, I've made this. And as designers or engineers or anyone else, it's very important to showcase your work very well and to start that process now. And then you continue to add to your product. Once it's set up and you have the workflow for creating a portfolio, it's very easy to continue to add to it. So once you create it now, you'll just be able to do the next project, package it up nicely, and then add it to your portfolio. And then you'll have always something impressive to show off. People who wait later always regret it because, people ask, what did you make? And then they just tell them, oh, I worked on this project. It was like an app where I had to do a protest, and I designed the whole app, and people are like, oh, can I see it? And they're like, yeah, let me send you an email and I will send you the details of the project, or I'll send you my GitHub. And the people are like, okay, they get it and they don't really know what to do with it. You have a portfolio, you just say, hey, let me send you my link, boom. All of a sudden they see it right away and they're like, wow, this is amazing. I see exactly what you've done, and it's very nicely presented. So when it comes to college applications, it's extremely important to have a passion project. And why is that? Well, all of these college applications, like if you are already seeing like profiling, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of students with 4.0 GPAs, you really can pick from the best. And who do you want in your college? People who have just checked the boxes, or people who are really passionate about something, especially if that something is, if they've actually taken like the steps to try and create their passion to the next level and make it a reality and actually maybe change the world or something. These colleges want dreamers, people who actually really care about what they're doing. And I think it's important to have a passion project because it's one thing to say that I've been through all of these courses and stuff like that, and I've did all of these things, and it's just a list of items, check, 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 check. But it's something else to really tell a story about, how you had an idea, you took the time to do the research, talk to users, see is this actually a problem, and then you went out there and you asked people what do they want, and then you design the app, and then maybe you go out and you try and speak to friends and network with other friends to try and actually develop the app. Maybe you make like a prototype on a Google Sheets or something and send it out. Maybe you try to get people to sign up for your app ahead of time, and you can do all of that just with a design. And part of having a design is being able to get people on board, So I think it's important to have a passion project and to frame a college application around that, So you have your college application of the story, in your essay about what you tried to do and what you tried to build in your journey through building it and all of the progress you made and how you achieved your goal. And then you show the portfolio project, which is a clear and concise video showing the app, the fully functional prototype app, and then explaining how you built it, and then explaining about how you got other people on board to your project. That's a very impressive story that not a lot of students are telling, but it's completely possible just through learning these basic techniques. So passion projects will make your Ivy League and top tier applications stand out. And I think that's going to be crucial when you're against a whole bunch of other people who also have 4.0 GPAs, also have done, all of these different courses and stuff like that. You really want to stand out. So someone asked, what should be included in a portfolio? Do I have an example of a portfolio? So yeah, what should be included in a portfolio is just a list of projects, as I showed before. So this is a portfolio, but this is a typical GitHub portfolio. But this is what an actual well-done portfolio looks like. You want to submit something with a basic portfolio is the names of your projects that you've worked on. And if you're in high school or middle school, it's okay if there's only one, as long as it's really done well. You really want to focus on like one really good one. Maybe you have two if there's another one you're very proud of, but it's best just to focus on one. And in the portfolio, it's very important to explain the process of what you've created. It's important to show the behind the scene work, because for all people know, maybe you just copied it off the internet and just posted it. And that's what a portfolio is for. It's to show the process and to show that you did the hard work and to explain why you did what you did and all of that. It's to tell the story of basically your project. And it's always very impressive when you can see all the hard work someone put into it. So in my portfolio, I've optimized my portfolio to be very responsive. So that's why it looks like the way it does. But for example, I can tell the story about different parts of my process. For example, I created a marketing campaign which generated 500,000 views, and we only spent $1,000. And I can show the proof of it, all of the different postings on social media we did and all the views that they got for my product. So it's a great way to stand out because it shows clear, hard evidence of and tells a story of your product. This is the Kickstarter. I can just quickly show people the Kickstarter video for the Kickstarter I produced. Yeah, that was all done in slow-mo. I'm pretty proud of that. So yeah. So that's having a portfolio, whatever your project is. And in this class, it will be focusing on creating one really solid portfolio project, especially if you can create the app around something that you're very passionate about. That's also very important for this project. And using passion projects, just some very practical things is there's an activity section in your applications where you'll be able to, college applications where you'll be able to list out your different projects. There's recommendation letters. And if you have a great project, where you've designed an entire app, you can talk to people in the industry and be like, oh, I've created this protest app. You could show it to a protester organizer and be like, what do you think of this? And then maybe you get a letter of recommendation for your project from like people who are out there who are very important in whatever field that you're trying to get into. And for college essays, talking about your college project is always very important. And in all of these applications, there's always an additional section in all of the applications to post a portfolio link. And overall, the thing that I want to say is UX design tips the balance. So knowing design will always give you the advantage over competitors in the same way that designer brands have an advantage over their generic counterparts. If you're an engineer and you have a portfolio, maybe there's another engineer who's twice as good as you, but they were not able to communicate it. So for all the people in the admissions place know, you're way better just because you were able to explain why you're better, so being able to communicate who you are is going to be what sets you apart. With all the other things being equal, with design, you can stand out from the crowd and be noticed. So why should you be learning design right now? You should be learning design right now because you're going to need to tell the best story possible of who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Donji. I want to add on a little bit on what Donji just mentioned about when's the best time to share your portfolio. As some of you might have already known that I'm also the alumni interviewer of University of Pennsylvania, UPenn, and once I had an experience that a student, after I interviewed her, and she sent me a thank you letter. And she sent me a link with her portfolio, including her works and what she has done before. And that was very impressive. I would say that among all the thank you letter, that was the only thank you letter I still remember now. So that's a tiny thing, but that's what can actually make you stand out. And also, like Donji mentioned, that there are also other times, like for example, add an additional link, or when you asking for recommendation layers. Our Future Entrepreneur Challenge teachers, also like Donji, all have experience of writing recommendations letters for our high school students. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I saw there is a parent or a student asking question, like, what is the most difficult part of learning UX design? Can you share a little bit about this?
So the whole point of taking my class is I make it easy. No, but really the hardest part about learning UX design, it really depends on, it's actually not that difficult if you think about it. Like, it's basically as hard as drawing pictures. If you can draw a picture on like any sort of app or something, or if you can make a video and record yourself, like that's essentially how hard it is. The actual core thing that makes it difficult is the research. And that's what really sets you apart as a UX designer. Everyone can do Photoshop, everyone can do Illustrator, as you find later on. But not that many people can find a really good problem to solve and create a solution around it. So that's what I would say for that. Yeah, any other questions? I'd be happy to answer literally anything. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so as Donji mentioned, we are going to we are going to provide a UX design programs, and through the program, you will be able to learn like a very comprehensive UX design series, also skills from Donji, and also Donji will teach us how to like easily create presentation videos, which can easily be added to the portfolio and make your portfolio standing out from others. And throughout the program, you will work on a project which you are very interested in to show your passion. So when you are writing your college essay, you will have the story to describe like how you start this project and how you make it happen. It's actually will add to your storytelling experience. And of course, by the end of the program, you will be able to receive a UX design certificate. So we will provide this class in December. Oh, sorry, can you go back to the previous slide? It will be two programs. One would be like a weekly program every Wednesday starting next week, and also have another like every Monday and Tuesday. Each program will be 5 sessions. So if you are interested in this, you can call us, email us, or there's a QR code there. You can scan it if you use WeChat.
Oh, also one more thing. Everything I teach is industry standard, even the design programs. So as you could see, when you saw Jimmy's presentation video, the program he designed the app in is called Figma, and that's currently the industry design standard. So you could use that very information to get a internship at any sort of design place, because those are the tools that they will use.
Yeah, Jimmy is also currently studying computer science, and he showed Donji showed his work to other UX designer, also some startup co-founders, and they were like so impressed by his work.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, it pretty much looks like what any other designer would make. So I was very proud of him for doing that.
I saw there's another question from Jonathan. He asked that the students have the chance to do presentation. Yes, that's a great question. So we will have 5 sessions, and through the first 4 sessions, Donji will teach you the comprehensive UX design series, tools, industry level tools, and also skills. And the last class will be about presentation. So you are going to create your presentation videos, and second, you're going to show your presentation video and introduce your work during the class. Yeah, so I saw there's another question asking about Donji's background. That's from Ming. Oh, I have your WeChat. I'll send to you right after I'll also share Donji's website with you.
So are there?
So for the class for Monday and Thursday class, which days are they? So there will be a class as a Monday and Tuesday. That will be starting from December 21st. So that will be 5 sessions: December 21st, 22nd, 28th, 29th, and January 4th.
And are the projects in group or individuals? It depends on the class size, but in the recent ones, we've been doing all individual, because I really want people to develop on their own, especially when it comes to building out the passion projects. I want them to get really passionate about what they're passionate, not necessarily the group is passionate about. And I think it's important for everyone to learn the design skills individually. And sometimes I feel like in groups, people can start leaning on other people a lot. So in this one, I encourage everyone to do their own projects and to do it on something that they are very passionate about.
Right, so mostly will be like an individual project, and also Donji will provide like one-on-one session with them to make sure the project is like good enough perfect enough to add on the portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think it's about the time.
Sorry, I mean Thursday.
Oh.
Question Q&A.
The class will be Monday and Tuesday. So yeah, it's about the end of the webinar today. But if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Do you mind share again the contact?
Mhm.
Yeah. So you can see there's a phone number and an email, and you can also scan the QR code.
Sorry.
So that's it. Thank you, Donji, and thank you everyone for joining the session today.
Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it.